Hey everybody, this is Casey Cease with Lucid Books, and I'm here with one of our authors, Julie Berry. And Julie has a very special book that she has released with us, and I'm really excited to have her on this video today. So Julie, why don't you just take a few moments and introduce yourself to us?
Hi, I'm Julie Berry, and I live in Pearland, Texas. I'm married, and I have three sons, ages 22, 19, and 17. So I only have one left in high school, getting ready to face that empty nest. I'm really excited to be here. I'm very, very grateful to Lucid to help me get this book finally out there because it's meant a lot, and I hope it helps a lot of people.
So tell us about the book a little bit. It's Why Do I Have Aspergers, right, is what it's called. So it's definitely not a light topic, but a very important one. So why don't you tell us a little bit of what compelled you to write the book?
Well, every time as we went through the journey with my son Jacob, who has Asperger's, every time I shared a success story on social media, I even started a blog. I just got an incredible response, and it was primarily people asking me like suggestions, or they wanted to refer a friend they knew or relative they knew to me to ask questions. I got lots of emails, messages on Facebook, and just anywhere on my blog, anywhere I posted, people asking questions and wanting to know more. And so just over time, I felt like there was a lot of information that I could get out there if I was able to write the book.
That's awesome. And you mentioned briefly your son has Asperger's, but what made it so important for you to get this work out? Like, why did you, because everyone thinks about writing a book. A lot of people do. But you took the next step and actually did the hard work of writing and publishing a book. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it's primarily because he had great success, and I felt God really leading me to write the book for years. And then he's a behavior coach, and the woman who owns a business where he got the most help is called Behavior Plus. I would share with her when he would have successes in his walk through Asperger's, and she would share them when she spoke at conferences and stuff. And she told me they were her Jacob stories. And one day I was sharing with her another success, and she looked at me and she said, "You should write a book." And this is after God had been working on my heart for a couple of years, and I took that as a kick in the pants. Okay, get it done. And just because, and also because so many people I met just wanted to do enough to get by, or just enough so their child wouldn't be have issues anymore. But it's so much more than that. You want to get them to where they're going to be successful in life, to where they can go and live on their own and have a job and have a family. And it was so sad meeting so many people that just wanted to know, just to get by. And so that's another reason I wanted to write the book, is to encourage people. Yes, it's hard work, but there's so much success, and there's so much you can do to enable them to get out there in the world and to be successful themselves in whatever they choose to do.
So what are some common myths or misunderstandings surrounding Asperger's?
Well, probably the worst thing is that there is nothing that you can do. Because there's no cure and there's no pill to take. And so that's a really big myth out there. And people don't know that it's behavior modification. And then people don't know what that means. And even in our case, when we went to the psychiatrist that gave us the diagnosis, she didn't really know. In fact, we came back to her and told her it was group behavior modification, kind of a group thing with your peers, because one-on-one, people with Asperger's are great usually, but it's in the social settings with their friends, people of their own age, or even when they interact with adults, and too, not just socially not knowing what to do. And so it's that group. And so the biggest myth is there's no cure, or there's nothing you can do, or there's limited what you can do. And in our case, we saw just totally different child come through this after he was in the behavior modification from first grade all the way up until he graduated from high school.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. So why would someone pick up your book? Why should they read your book? I mean, obviously, a parent who has a child with Asperger's, or maybe teachers, but what should motivate them? What do they hope? What will they find when they open your book, and why should they read it?
I think the greatest thing that God taught me and our whole family through this thing is in life we're going to come across those times where we think we deal with things or face things that we seem are insurmountable, or that do totally change our way of life. That our initial thinking is for the negative, nothing's going to be the same again, and that's true. But it can be the same, not the same, but still be good because of God's work in there. Even though all this with Jacob took an incredible amount of time and even money with our family with the behavior modification, for what it taught all of us, I wouldn't change anything. And so what I hope people pick up the book is not, even if they don't have someone who's on the autism spectrum or Asperger's, is to know that God is at work in their life. God's never going to leave them just hanging out there without any kind of support or help. And that through everything, He's our part in the storm. He's the answer to everything, no matter what it is. And that's the biggest thing I hope people take from this book, is that no matter what's going on in your life, that you need to just cling on to God and be honest. And be honest when you're hurt and when you're mad and when you don't understand and you're asking Him, what are you doing? And He wants all of it, and He wants to teach you and grow you through everything.
It's so good. So when they read it, what's the end result you hope your reader will have? I always tell our authors, as you're writing this and your readers going through it, what are you hoping they experience?
That God has a plan for something in your life. I mean, I never thought when we started this that I would write a blog or much less a book. And that, again, like I said, He's the answer. That, sometimes we get in situations like this, we spend so much energy trying to fix it ourselves. And it took a lot of energy and a lot of time on our part. But when it's all directed by Him, when He's leading the way, then that's where you find your strength and the ability to go on and the hope that keeps you going. Because, I mean, I write in the book, for every step, sometimes every step forward, we took 3 steps back. But knowing that God was there, we didn't give up. And that's one thing I want people to take away is don't give up. Keep working. I mean, there's somewhere in there you're going to find, even if you don't find the answer you thought you were going to get, there's a better answer because God's in the midst of all of it.
It's so encouraging. Yeah, it did. Yeah. So it's encouraging to hear your faith through all this, because I've visited with people before in similar situations, and it seemed that they were struggling to have faith in God, and really had more questions for God. And so what would you say to a person maybe that's watching this or reading your book who maybe feels, that God's far or distant because of the struggle maybe that someone that they love has with Asperger's?
Well, if you read the book, and I try to be really honest in the book, I mean, especially initially, we struggled so much. I had my perfect little idea what my family was like, what my family was going to be like, and what our life was going to be like. When this happened, everything changed. I had to quit my job. I had to put my child in a school, remove him from the only school he'd ever been in. I had to remove another child, and I was angry. I was mad. The first thing I wanted to do was stick my head in the sand and pretend like it wasn't happening. Yeah. And then you have to deal with it. And then there were days I didn't want to deal with it. It was time consuming. It was emotionally draining. And then when you get him going, there's those days, like I said, you just think nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to get better, man. I hope I convey in the book all that struggle, because I'm certainly not perfect. And I had my days when I just wanted to quit or rail at God. And I did have my moments. And so that's another thing I wanted from the book. I want people to read it that are struggling with that and hopefully see that we were honest. And I was honest in talking about how my husband and my whole family dealt with it and continue to deal with it. Even today, Jacob's not cured. He's not perfect. He's come a long way. But even with him being in college, we have issues now that we're still working through, but we've learned that, to go to God, to trust God. And that's what I hope people that are struggling see, is that God wants that honesty. He wants those times when you're angry at Him and say, what is going on? Why are you doing this? Or I give up. I can't do this. Yes, you can. Yeah. That's the things that I want them to see in the book.
Well, and also it seems like that part of the way that your book is helpful is as encouragement, but also with your honesty. But how else do you feel like your book would be most helpful for your reader?
It has, well, like I said initially, a lot of people don't know that even dealing with Asperger's, behavior modification is a huge part in making success. And there's also other strategies in there that we were taught and we used. And one other thing I think is the main point, and I bring this out in the book, is that from his behavior modification group through home, through school, Jacob's teachers were trained at the place where he was having behavior modification, and those people also trained us as parents. So throughout his day, everything was consistent. And so I think that's why we saw the improvement we saw, is because all those strategies that we talk about in the book were being implemented in every part of his life. And I think that's a huge thing for readers to see. Again, a lot of people choose not to spend that much time with it or don't want to deal with it. But those who do can see that it's just not throwing him in behavior group every week. It's their constant work, and you learn all that when you're in, get with the professionals who know how to do these type of things, or even your teachers. And so I hope people can see that in the book, that it's not just our story, but there's some useful advice and tips in there on how to help children who have Asperger's, or even adults.
Yeah. So as you said, you never dreamt of starting out a blog or writing a book, but what's one thing you wish someone would have told you about writing a book before you got started?
How hard it is, because when I blog, it is, or wrote on social media, usually there was a specific topic, something that had happened. So it was really easy for me to share that. But the hardest thing for me was I thought I could do an outline, and I learned that I really didn't know how to outline, but Lucid showed me how to outline it. And that's when I really was able to make headway, is when I got that working outline that I could go with. But I mean, I probably worked on the book for 3 years, and I wrote it just pretty hardcore through several months, but just the process. And then it wasn't until I got with Lucid and the editors that I really started making some progress. But it's a lot of work. It's not just sitting down and writing. It's researching and contacting people and, editing and editing and editing and editing. And there's so much to it. But it was a lot of fun, though. Really hard work, but a lot of fun.
No, people always say to me, because I think they see in movies, like someone goes to like a log cabin somewhere and they spend 3 days and they don't sleep much and they have a whole manuscript finished at the end, and maybe there's a Eye of the Tiger playing, and then they have a Pulitzer or a New York Times bestseller, and really it's a labor of love. Especially, I don't know about you, Julie, but I know with my book, when I got to the last rounds of editing, I was so tired of my content that I was just like, oh, I don't want to read it again and look at it again, and then I have to keep promoting it, and I'm like, I'm ready to work on my next project. And so I know our team really loved working with you, Julie. And what are some things that maybe takeaways that you felt working with Lucid were helpful?
Lucid is there for every step of it. I think that was the biggest thing. Like I said, really helping me understand how the book should flow. Even before I started writing, this is going to be a memoir, my editor had me reading some memoirs and how to write a memoir, and that was really what put me over, is I can do this. And even the book I read about the memoir said, take this one event and write it. And so I did, and I sent it to the editor, and he was like, that's it.
There you go.
That's what you're supposed to do. I felt you were honest, and then I was there. I was like, I guess that's what I want. And I felt like I had done that all along when I had done writing, but I learned a lot, and that was all because of Lucid. And then, like I said, just the whole, when I finally got it in the outline form, is where it just flowed out. I had to go back and edit a lot, but still, just the outline, the frame was there. Once I got that from the editor, really helped so much.
Awesome.
But again, like I said, Lucid is there for everything. Yeah.
And that's really our heart, is to be there for the author and help you along the way to draw out the best in what you're doing, and then help you find the best venues to get it out, for sure. So, Julie, how can people find you online? Where can they find you?
Well, I have it. My website is whydoihaveaspergers.com. There's a video there of Jacob taking his senior year in high school. He's about to start his second year in college, but it's from his mouth, the story. And I think that's one of the most powerful things. Whenever we go speak somewhere, we show that video. It's so great to hear his view of what he has gone through, and his realization that I can do this. And then, of course, the book, and then the book's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble too, if they'd like to purchase it.
Awesome.
And I have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find that.
No, Facebook's great. So is it your name, Julie Berry, or is it Why Do I Have Aspergers on Facebook?
No, it's under my name, Julie Berry.
Awesome. Julie Berry. Well, Julie, thanks so much for taking the time to share your story a bit with us. And anybody reading or watching this who knows anyone or works with anyone or has a child with Asperger's, I highly recommend you check out Why Do I Have Aspergers by Julie Berry. And Julie, we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.